If you have ongoing exposure to controlling people, it's a virtual certainty that you're going to experience blurry boundaries, which is why I've created the extensive online course called This Is Me, Establishing Boundaries with the Controllers in Your Life. There's a link below that will give you all of the details, and I hope that you would find it therapeutic. One of the healthiest and most mature ingredients you can have in a relationship is empathy, and that's the ability to understand and feel with another person from their perspective. When an individual has empathy, it shows that they have a desire to connect and they want to relate at the heart level. Empathy implies that there's a realization of diversity in personalities. I have my thoughts, but you have yours. And rather than just thinking, well, it's all about me, I want to learn about you. I understand that life is gray. Let me get on the inside and see things from your vantage point. Empathy implies a form of humility. The person who empathizes realizes it's not all about me. I have my feelings, but so do you. Let's tune into that. And so when an individual comes to a relationship with empathy, it becomes a highly motivational ingredient that can create a lot of good and rewarding connection. Now, we're going to be talking about dark empathy, but first, before we get all the way into that, I want you to remember some of the primary ingredients that a narcissist brings to them, because they can give the appearance of having empathy when in fact it's not. Remind yourself that in the mind of the narcissist, power is most important. Controlling others, specifically controlling you, is highly important. Knowledge and correctness takes priority over love and connection. It's important to remember that. Conformity to their ways is essential to them. In a narcissist's mind, it's like, well, what I feel and believe is relevant and important. What you feel is not. That's part of the defining feature of the narcissist. And as the narcissist approaches you, there are multiple thoughts that they have regarding this empathy ingredient. For example, a narcissist might think, well, if I come across as too caring or too tuned into you, it makes me look like I'm being too indulgent toward you. I don't like that. Or it would mean that I have to lay down my agenda, and although they'll call it convictions, and I don't want to lay down my convictions, my agenda for you. That's too important to me as well. Or the narcissist may think, if I'm too empathetic, that means you might take advantage of me. I'll come off as soft, or I'll be thrown off point, or I may convey to you an anything goes kind of an attitude. I don't want to do that. And the narcissist may think empathy is for wimps. I'm not that kind of a person. Now, having said all that, there are many occasions when a narcissist can indeed come across as being somebody who's very approachable. They can be friendly at first and engaging. They may want to show themselves to be helpful toward you, and you're thinking, wow, that's pretty nice. They can be charming and give the impression that they're into you, at least for a while. They want to be buddies with you. They can ask seemingly curious questions about you, and they can want to connect emotionally, which means they like being admired and adored. But they'll give the impression, I just want to have that bond with you, when in fact that's not really what it is. They want that adoration. Narcissists can in fact connect with your emotional side, but not in the way that you would want it to be. They'll connect with you on an emotional level in a cognitive kind of way. It's like, oh, you feel sad? Well, I'm so sorry about that. And so it's their way of finding an inroad. Ultimately, these individuals will show a type of understanding toward you so they can get an inroad into your mind and your heart. And it's so important for you to recognize this. Now, when we talk about dark empathy, we talk about pseudo empathy. that is accompanied by all sorts of other ingredients that this person brings. Now, let's keep in mind that narcissists can have sometimes a very strong sociopathic tendency. By that I mean that morality and goodness, right and wrong, it's whatever I need it to be today. And so they can give the impression that they're there, but if the circumstances change, they can shift gears to suit their own purposes. People who use empathy in a dark way are calculators. They're thinking, how can I get an angle over you? I know, I'll show myself to be curious about you. These individuals are schemers. Basically, they're thinking, I want to fit you into my self-serving mode or mold, and if there's any way that I can do it, then I'm willing to do that. Showing interest in you is not beyond me. I can do that. Ultimately, these individuals are actually grossly insensitive to your humanity. They can give the appearance that they care, but in fact, they don't really care about your hurts and your needs or your feelings or your backstory. It's all just a ruse. They can imply that they have their hurts or disappointments, and that it's kind of their way of letting you know, hey, you can get in here and talk with me, when in fact, that's part of a ruse too. They don't really want to share in such a way that's going to give you too much information, but they'll do so in enough of a way that keeps you on the hook. They can have aggressive tendencies. Many times they can be aggressive in a very open kind of way, but you're not going to see it right up front. Only over time, when your differences and your misinterpretations perhaps of them begin to show up, then you're going to see, ooh, this is a much more aggressive person than they were letting on to be. Narcissists in this dark empathy kind of style are operating first and foremost with a self-impressed attitude. Well, I'm going to show you that I'm one of the best people you've ever met, but it's all part of the false self. They're self-impressed, but as a compensation, and it's all part of the ruse. They lack a consistency in terms of reasoning with you. They can show empathy, but then when it comes time to really talk things through, it's like, no, I'm not going to be objective and talk things out in a way where you understand me and I understand you. That's not what I do. And so let's recognize that these people can give that appearance that they are truly into you, when in fact, no, they're just into themselves, and this is a really good inroad that they can use. So I know that it can be frustrating to think, do I have to constantly be trying to figure out where that person is coming from before I get too involved? And the answer is, well, yeah, exactly. Just because someone shows signs up front that they have empathy, it doesn't mean that's what they are. In my mind, I'm thinking anybody can show an interest in you when the good times are there and when we're just getting to know each other. And this can be in your personal relationship or even extended families and your marriage or your kids even, or at work. They can give the appearance of being interested only in the good times. But you'll eventually begin realizing when differences and conflicts begin showing up, that empathy tends to fall back and these more nefarious kinds of ingredients begin to come to the forefront. These are dark individuals. These are individuals who do not care about you. And so you'll have to hold on to that in a very, let's call it skeptical way rather than cynical. Skeptical means you're weighing it out carefully. Cynical means you just have stark pessimism that just ruins you from the inside out. So let's take it to this next level, and that is, you want to go slow when you're getting to know people. When somebody shows that they're into you, when somebody shows that they think that you're really cool and nice and pleasant, okay, that's good. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I'm not going to be in any kind of rush. And typically, narcissists with this dark empathy tend to want to be in a hurry to get you on their hook. And so that's a signal right there. Be willing to ask them questions about other relationships that they've had. Invariably, they may have had relationships that have fallen apart. Ask about it. Tell me about that. What was that all about? And if they do little more than blame the other person or make excuses or sidestep that, It's like, okay, I can see you're not really in a self-disclosing mode. True empathizers like to go into that self-disclosing mode, and they like to hear disclosures from you. They tend not to be very comfortable with that. Let's recognize that empathy is a very impressive and desirable characteristic when it's accompanied by other healthy characteristics, like true self-disclosure, or patience, or an absence of some sort of manipulative agenda. Empathy needs to be accompanied by self-reflective, introspective thinking. So there are people who know how to empathize, and they're delightful to be with. But let's keep in mind that narcissists are schemers. Narcissists have much more of an agenda over you than they'll let on up front, and you have to be kind of wary about where they're coming from. If your gut tells you, I don't really know if this individual is truly into me or not, listen to what it's saying and recognize that empathy is empathy when it lasts for a nice long period of time, not just when it's seen as an opportunity to gain an inroad. That's how narcissists think, and healthy people don't go that path. And I hope that videos such as this give you some good ideas of what we're talking about when we're talking about dealing with these narcissistic individuals and high control. And to that effect, you know our channel, we have so many videos that talk about how to deal with this. And so if you haven't subscribed, then I would encourage you to do so. And there's a notification bell that can keep you apprised of more videos that come along. We'd love to have you along, and we're so appreciative that you allow us to be on your journey with you. If you have a need for counseling, we have a link below that would take you to one of our sponsors for online counseling. And there's a whole team of licensed professional experienced counselors, and online counseling has become very popular in this day and age. And so I would encourage you, if you need to, go to that link and get the help that you would need. We also have courses, and these are for very therapeutic reasons. We have webinars that are one-off things, and I would encourage you to look into that. But the courses have multiple videos and written material and questions for you that are meant to provoke a lot of introspection about who you are. This Is Me is one of the courses. It's about setting boundaries. Free to Be is another course. It's about finding yourself despite the controllers in your life. And so you want to make yourself available to that, if that would be good. And then also we have my books, and then other ways that you can be in touch with us below. It's sad to say that people can take something really good and positive like empathy and turn it into a reason to be a schemer, but that's what we're dealing with. And so when you're armed with knowledge, then that can at least give you a good starting point for having self-care. I want you to practice self-care, and in doing so, you can maintain an objectivity as opposed to just getting pulled right into subjectivity. And you can become then a person of steadiness and authenticity and peace. I want you to find your peace.